Hey guys, it's Wheeling the Gamer Girl here, and today we're actually going to do a short album discussion on It's a Game. So actually this album is released as the 7th and 6th studio album in 1977, and it's actually supported as a lead single for It's a Game in the UK, while as You Make Me Believe in Magic was actually released as a lead single from the album in North America. But elsewhere, You Make Me Believe in Magic was actually released from the album's second official single release. So this is actually their cover album right here. It looks like it's like in space, there's some checkers, and also there were some kings, queens. I'm not too sure what is this one, but it's actually a constellation right here. But they still have the tartan lettering right here for the album. So it was actually released in July of 1977. They started recording it like maybe early 1977. And as well as this album actually received moderate commercial success internationally. Because of this, it actually reached number 1 in Japan, and it actually reached the top 20 in Australia, Canada, and the UK, as well as the top 30 on the Billboard 200 in the US. But It's a Game is actually the 5th original studio album that was actually produced by Harry Maslin, fresh from the success with singer David Bowie. But despite them receiving the gold album certification in the US, the group's popularity had waned because of their initial burst of fame, and because of the lineup changes that could see in the diminishing success. Guitarist Ian Mitchell went back to Ireland to rejoin the band Rosetta Stone, and because of this, Pat McGlynn actually toured with them until he left the band less than a year later. And as well as this, McGlynn is also presented in the It's a Game music video for the title track, indicating he is at least somewhere because of his presence on the album. Because of McGlynn's departure, the band would actually perform into a 4-piece band comprising of Derek Longmuir, Eric Faulkner, Les McEwen, and Stuart Woody Wood. And because they would actually do this until maybe in early of 1978, Alan Longmuir, Derek's brother, actually rejoined the fold in 1978, releasing their last album, Strangers in the Wind, which is actually the group's 6th original album. And because of this album never received any certifications because their initial popularity burst of fame actually waned. And because the trends are actually changing, Rollermania was actually over. And because of this, by 1978, all of them, including the tartan outfits, were gone. And because their album was actually going to be released the later next year, which is Strangers in the Wind, Les would actually leave the band after the album was released. And I've noticed the reason why actually Les left the band is because during a concert tour in Japan, he was actually going a bit crazy. I'm not just trying to be rude, but I know this story because I've seen this one on the nostalgia page, that he actually did do really horrible things to his bandmates. And I do believe the youngest member, Stuart Woody Wood, actually did kick him off of the stage. Yeah, it was very, very frightening. I don't know why he did it, but with him and Woody, I think it's a rocky relationship ever since, the decline of their popularity. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I'm so sorry. Just try to correct me if I'm right, because I don't want to go into the next album, Strangers in the Wind. But please do note, I am actually excluding this album for, my discussions, because we're only going to focus on the popular Bay City Roller albums, which only received certifications in the UK and the US. And because of this, in the US track, You Make Me Believe in Magic was actually released as a lead single that reached the number 10 on the Hot 100 Billboard in August of 1977. But outside the US, It's a Game, which was originally released as a single by the British group String Driven King in 1973 was the first single off, but it was very unsuccessful. The top 10 status actually achieved in Australia, Austria, Germany, Ireland, Switzerland, and also reaching number 21 in New Zealand and also the UK. In the UK, It's a Game, it's actually the 12th Bay City Rollers chart hit that actually was the first single for the 12 to peak below the top 10. You Make Me Believe in Magic was actually a song which is more popular among people, and especially because the popularity was declining and the trends were changing, a lot of people would still listen to this song till this day. And as well as this, it was also released as a second single in the territories. Because of this, It's a Game actually has been a hit. You Make Me Believe in Magic was actually proved significantly less popular than the preceding single. The relevant peaks for this song was in Australia, Germany, New Zealand, and the UK, with no chart placing in Austria, Ireland, and Switzerland. You Make Me Believe in Magic, which is a song from the Bay City Rollers, actually did mark their final UK appearance. Another track off, which is a song called The Way I Feel Tonight, was also issued as a second single in the US, where it actually marked the Bay City Rollers' final Hot 100 appearance that peaked to number 24 outside the US. The Way I Feel Tonight was also a third single off, which only charted in Australia and New Zealand. There was also another CD with 3 bonus tracks in 2007. Are You Cuckoo? Dedication by the version that Les McEwen sing. I've mentioned this earlier for my dedication album discussion, and The Way I Feel Tonight. It was actually a single version. There was also another review from the New York Daily News. It's a Game, it's a very terrific album. However, there are some viewers that claim to have 2.5 stars. But overall, it's actually uneven for casual listeners. But that the Bay City Rollers fans will find that no debut that will actually be really easy to listen. So for the track listening, there are 2 versions, and one is It's a Game by Chris Adams. Sorry. My throat is really bad. It's very dry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me if my throat is really dry. So sorry about it. You Make Me Believe in Magic, Don't Let the Music Die, Love Power, and The Way I Feel Tonight. For side 2, they also have Love Fever, Sweet Virginia, Inside a Broken Dream, Dance, 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 and Rebel Rebel, which is also a cover version. They covered this one from David Bowie's Rebel Rebel. It was actually included right here. So the personnel actually still leads the same, except Stuart Woody Wood is also on the bass guitar as well. And as well as this, Pat McGlynn is still here, but he was on the rhythm guitar for It's a Game. So yeah, that's actually what happened. So we got the charts right here. The charts don't actually look that bad, but I do believe it's actually their final album to have the gold certification. I don't really think Strangers in the Wind or Elevator, Vox, and Rachel Wet actually do have it. And because of this, I'm sure that the song The Pie, When I Say I Love You, was actually included in the Strangers of the Wind album. And because of this, back in 1978, when the Rollers actually had the most successful lineup with the bassist and also the oldest founding member, aka Derek's brother, Alan Longmuir, he actually did rejoin the band. And I do believe that these songs from It's a Game, along with the other albums, some of the songs were actually included. Not all of them, but what I was gonna say is that yes, some of them were actually also included in the Croft Superstar Hour. And because of this, some of them were actually included. I'm really that sure it's actually a little less successful, but it's still successful, unlike some of the albums which actually includes the Strangers in the Wind album, which the Classic 5 actually released their last album before Les left the band. And because of this, they changed their name to the Rollers, and they also added the Rabbit frontman, Duncan Foy. I've actually mentioned this before because they actually did hire Duncan Foy to replace their longtime lead singer, Les McEwen. They tried it with a four-piece band, but there was no success for 1979 Elevator. As Duncan, who was the frontman, he actually continued to make two more albums, folks, Rejoined and Elevator, until 1981, where the Rollers actually began to stop performing their music until 1982, when Les, Ian, and Pat returned to the Japan reunion tour. And yes, these kinds of songs were sung here, except for Strangers in the Wind, Elevator, Waltz, and Richard. These ones are actually included with Duncan Foy, if you don't know what I seriously mean. Okay? Look, I'm not just trying to say that I may not know about the Rollers. You know, they actually just changed their name. I'm so sorry if you guys don't know what I'm actually talking about. You know that. I do apologize if I'm saying it wrongly, you know. And actually, because of this, yeah, it started to really go downhill. And, you know, sometimes you have to accept the fact is that once, you know, popularity declines, the trends will change all the time. And, you know, sometimes there will be lineup changes no matter what. We all have to accept the fact that, you know, just because the late frontman of the Bi-City Rollers is no longer with us, or, you know, back in the late 70s when he was actually replaced by the Rabbit frontman Duncan Foy, that still doesn't mean that he's forgotten. He'll still be in our hearts. And because of this, I'm not trying to say that I don't really like Duncan Foy in my opinion. I just think that, you know, a lot of people are actually just trying to say and comment to say that it's not the same without Les, you know. I do believe that way. And, you know, sometimes when they post the pictures on Facebook, they would actually put, like, you know, some of the songs that Les sang with Duncan Foy. I don't actually know why they did it or something, but just trying to ignore the mistake. And as well as this, yes, I've noticed that a lot of people were complaining because they actually think that the user did put the picture of Duncan Foy with Les. Like, I'm serious, why? Why did they do that? And actually, because of the release of Richard, Foy actually left the Rollers in 1981. And because of this, the later year, back in 1982, Les returned along with Ian and Pat, because I noticed that Ian was actually here in the band as well. I think he was also performing from these 5 albums, excluding the ones right here, you know. And as well as this, I think like Pat McGlynn as well, he was also here, you know. I'm not just trying to be rude, I'm not trying to, you know, be disrespectful on what Foy has done, but I really do dedicate his work. And actually, because I haven't heard of the Roller songs before, and I do believe that, you know, sometimes when a song from It's a Game was actually replaced with Foy, I do believe that sometimes, you know, what were they even thinking? What do they even want? Just remember this. We all make mistakes sometimes, but you need to really check your sources out. And because of this, sometimes they will just think like, why is Foy in here? Why is he actually here on the Facebook post saying that, you know, he really sang Bye Bye Baby, Saturday Night, Once Upon a Star, or any other songs that he sang? Well, it was supposed to be Les who actually sang, so I would just say that people are saying that please just give like Les the opportunity, you know, what I seriously mean. I'm not trying to be rude, but I think this actually happened in Facebook, and I'm not trying to become, very, very sensitive. I noticed that sometimes users don't really check out their facts, and this thing actually does happen, when you're writing something. So please do remember this. Always check your facts. If you don't know anything, please check Wikipedia. It's always there to help you, instead of like people just trying to post irrelevant pictures of what I seriously mean. Because sometimes I do see this one, like Bye Bye Baby. I don't actually see like the Fat Five, but instead I actually do see the rollers, including Duncan 4. I've been getting this kind of thing a lot, to say, please post the right picture. But unfortunately, it still doesn't work within the user. So I think that's the reason why they don't want to listen. So just try to ignore. I'm not trying to be rude, but sometimes this thing actually happens on Facebook where somebody posts the wrong picture. Well, it's supposed to be the singer, not the other person. So yeah. Anyways, I think that's all for now for my discussion. I'm really sorry. As planned, I'm so sorry. I wanted to do a short video, but I think I talked too long. My throat's getting really dry soon. I'm gonna sign off now. So if you do have any questions on this album, please do let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye.